How's everybody doing? Since Oppenheimer comes out just next week, and I already have reviewed Christopher Nolan's first movie following, here are my thoughts on his second movie, Memento. Christopher Nolan had made the movie following back in 1998, but he didn't. But that wasn't an actual like fully made movie that came out in every single theater, like movies that we watch today, where motion picture movies and all that. But this was Christopher Nolan's first, to where that movie got a lot of good ratings, and it was nominated for best student film and all that. And so movie companies made a deal with Christopher Nolan, and so this was his first motion picture movie for where it was like his first motion picture deal, and he did a damn good job. He never fails, really. With my positives on Memento is that where this is going to be hard to explain, by the way, where this movie where it goes backwards, where this guy he has a memory loss thing and all that, kind of like Alzheimer's in a way. But what I like about this movie is that it goes a little bit backwards, where the movie begins with the ending, and then it ends with the beginning of the movie. And what this movie does, it slowly makes it towards to the middle of the story. It begins with the ending of this movie, and towards like the middle of this movie, it shows the beginning, and then the ending is the middle. And what this movie does, it slowly makes its way towards the middle of the movie, and where you kind of have to guess where which the scene goes where, and like what's going on, when did he find this out, and all that. Where like the beginning of this movie, where this movie's about a man trying to kill the man who raped and murdered his wife. So he's been trying to track him down. But the movie just begins with him killing the killer. I'm not gonna give away who it is if you haven't seen it, but yeah, that's what I really like about this is where you have to do like your own kind of detective work, where you have to be like, okay, I saw this scene already, and this is the scene that happened before it. So you gotta like make like little dots and be like, okay, this scene goes here, this scene goes there. That's what I like about this movie. It makes you kind of think, makes you guess like this scene goes here, this scene goes there, and all that. Sure, it can get complicated over time, but that's what I like about this movie. And it's like you see it through Leonard's point of view, where you see like everything he sees and learning everything he's learning and all that. Where like scenes will begin where it'll show up at like a random scene. You're like, what's going on? And then like later on, it shows a scene where what's going on. Like, oh, okay, this happened. And then there's another scene that goes on. Like, okay, what's going on? And then that scene will end, and then and you slowly start to figure out what's going on here. Like, sure, it can get complicated, but that's what the point of this movie is. It's where to get complicated to where you have to guess for yourself. Positive is the story of this movie. Now, I already talked about it a little bit where this guy, he has like a memory loss thing. He kind of has Alzheimer's in a way where maybe like a minute will go by and he'll like forget everything. Like he says that you can't talk for too long, or he'll forget how the conversation began. Sometimes he'll forget where he is. He won't remember what apartment he's staying in, and he won't remember some of the people that he's met. That's why he has to take pictures of them or write down information on the like photo and all that. And this movie's like a rape revenge plot where a man, he lost his wife, where a man broke into their house, raped her, and murdered her, and that the murder cracked his skull open to where it caused his memory loss and all that. But what the sad thing is, he can't even remember when that happened. He doesn't even he remembers who he is, he remembers who he's from though, but he doesn't remember anything else. Like a minute or two will go by and he'll forget everything. That's what I like about this movie is where you'll think he's catching up, but then later on he has to find a pencil, he write it down, but then he just forgets like everything. Like, what am I doing basically? That's what I love about this movie. That's because it like you have to follow this character who has memory loss, and you see everything from his point of view. And when you think he finally has something, he loses it because of his memory. That's what I love about this character, and that's what I love about the story. It's where it's a simple revenge plot, but it also adds into like memory loss. That's what I like about this movie is that Christopher Nolan also adds like a social commentary here, where this is what people with Alzheimer's basically have. They have to try and remember things, and they test their skills to see like if they remember this or if they forgot it. That's a pretty good social commentary there by Christopher Nolan. Positive is the cast of this movie, where the standout are easily Joe Pilato and Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce is the guy who plays the main character Leonard, and you also got Joe Pilato who plays Teddy or John G. You'll find out later in the movie where they like the cast in this movie really pulls it off, especially Guy Pearce, who's a terrific actor and he's always good in movies that I've watched with him, and where he pulls off pretty great. Like you feel like he's actually this character. Like every time I think of Guy Pearce now, I think of Leonard. Like what amazing about his acting is that you feel like he gives off the sense like he kind of understands what's going on, but then he plays it so well that that like with the memory loss, he does a really good job with the acting there, where he like basically it feels like that he actually went to somebody with Alzheimer's and like studied them and watched them how they live their life and all that, where that's what I like about him, especially Joe Pilato, who plays Teddy or John G. If you watch the movie, and he's supposed to be a cop in this movie, and does pretty good. And him and Leonard have like a pretty good friendship thing going on until the end of the movie. I'm not gonna spoil anything; just watch the movie. Where at first they don't seem that they get along at first, but slowly on through the movie they slowly become like partners and friends, and they both work together to find Leonard's wife's murderer. That's what I like about the two cast the those two cast members. I forget the person that plays Natalie in this movie, but she's also pretty good in this movie too. She's not here much, but she is pretty good, especially like the chemistry between her and Guy Pearce. I love this cast. They each play their character pretty good in their acting talents, especially Guy Pearce as Leonard. They're all brilliant. Love these characters. They're really great characters where especially Leonard, like he's a likable character and you root for him to find his wife's murderer. And then you got Natalie, sure she's an asshole in one scene, but she's a pretty cool character and she's kind of played off as the love interest in this movie. But it kind of goes back and forth and it doesn't really explain it very much, which I'm fine with. It doesn't bother me much. But there was one scene with those two where it's kind of like proposed that they might have slept together, or maybe like had sex, or they just slept in the same bed together and just both fell asleep. That scene I don't understand, but it doesn't bother me much, but it's not really brought up much, especially Teddy. I like Teddy. Sure, he's a awkward person and he's supposed to be a cop, but I like him. He's an enjoyable character. It's these characters I really like on screen. Every time they would show up on screen, I'm like, okay, what are they? Did they figure something out? Especially just like a simple character like Bert, who's like the front desk person at the motel that Leonard's staying at. I think he's a pretty cool character, and he's helping out um Leonard figuring out like what he's been doing in his apartment, all that. Even just like simple characters like that are awesome. I think yet all these characters are fun to watch and are interesting, and you root for them to find out what's going on here. Moving on to my mixed elements, where I only have one, is that this movie can get overcomplicated. Like I said, like the movie, how it works backwards, where you have to connect things. Oh, this goes here, but this movie also kind of replays a scene that we've already seen, like not like the whole scene, but like the beginning of it. Where I think that's pretty cool sometimes, where it's just like it gets you to guess and all that. But where it falls in my mixed elements is where it gets a little complicated and it makes your brain hurt. Like, okay, I'm confused. What's this? What's going on? Where am I? What is life? I don't know, guys. I really didn't have much issues with this movie except for like the how it can get a little bit overcomplicated. This was a really good movie for this being like Christopher Nolan's first studio project. He did a damn good job, and where you after you see this movie, you're gonna want to see all the other movies he's made. Where he did a damn good job directing it. This was one of the first movies that he ever worked on, and so this was a really damn good movie. But this is never going to really be a movie I ever rewatch because it's going to be a little overcomplicated, but I wouldn't mind rewatching it. Maybe sometime in the future I might rewatch it. Maybe here soon I might rewatch it, but it's not a very rewatchable movie, but I would still recommend to go out and buy it. You guys think about Memento? Did you actually see this movie? And if you did, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But until my next video, take care.